Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt. Every time we go live, it's like I'm learning how to stream all over again. This is session 12 of Provokers Bleakwrath, entitled Twist of the Blade. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick recap of the last session, and then we're going to jump right into it. We'll do some character intros during the break, as if you don't know who these guys are, but let's get into it. So last time on Provokers Bleakwrath, the Provokers arrived in the northern province of the Ravenstorm Highlands by magically traveling through a planar gate known as a Whispering Door. They arrived through this Whispering Door and met Aerdon, one of the original Provokers, who was a little surprised to see them, as no one had yet come through the Whispering Door in all of his years of protecting it. But after recognizing Holly, he eased and led them back to his camp. He told them that he had lived in the Highlands for several years, combating the Clerisy and guarding the Whispering Door, and he claims to have heard dice on the other side of the door saying the gate must stay shut. After speaking with Airdon, reminiscing about old times, and learning a little bit about what he's been up to in the Ravenstorm Highlands, Airdon decided to hatch a plan with the Provokers. Airdon planned to attack the Clerisy headquarters and asked the Provokers to simultaneously infiltrate a nearby Mitsurium mine overseen by the Clerisy. The criminal faction had enslaved people of the Highlands and put them to work mining the mystical metal known as Mitsurium for a yet unknown nefarious purpose. The Provokers agreed to help Airdon and set off the next morning for the mine. Once they got there, initially they came up with a plan to try and sneak in by having Kristoff pose as a high-ranking Clerisy officer, but due to some failed rolls, that plan quickly fell apart and a fierce battle commenced. The Provokers fought their way through and stopped the guards from sounding the alarm, and were able to sneak inside the tunnels. Once inside, they came upon some slaves that had been shackled together, but they quickly freed them after dealing with the guards. They met one of the slaves, a large half-elf named Armand Ironburl, who was of a family that Kristoff was familiar with. He offered to lead out the other slaves, free the remaining miners. In exchange, he asked the Provokers to keep an eye out for his husband, Trill, who worked deeper in the mine processing the Mitsurium. They delved deeper into the mine, eventually freeing Trill and the others working in the Mitsurium processing center, and then found themselves in a cavern filled with lava. They encountered Bronze Eyes, who revealed himself to be a Cambion, a fiendish extraplanar creature. They fought Bronze Eyes and his followers, and Edric's mind was enslaved for a brief time by the Cambion. He attacked his friends, but was shaken from his enslavement by a furious punch from his friend Sander. Holly, unfortunately, was stabbed through the chest by Bronze Eye's enchanted spear and fell during the battle. Realizing that he was outmatched, Bronze Eyes fled using extraplanar magic. Holly was healed just in time, but retained a grisly scar from the wound that she received. Bronze Eyes left that spear behind. We left the Provokers then and traveled to Sonageist, where we saw Bronze Eyes appearing through an extraplanar portal to speak with Praetor Iskandar, the Haldrathine leader. Bronze Eyes promised Iskandar to deal with the Provokers, while Iskandar looked upon a massive machine that appeared to be harnessing the energy of a bleak storm. We left as Iskandar said, "We cannot afford to compromise our vision of the future." Within the brass and stone spires of New Imperia, set like a jewel against the black dunes of Sonageist, Praetor Iskandar stands before a vast collection, hands clasped at his back. His eyes, violet, sweep over weapons and armor of a dozen dynasties risen and fallen, tapestries depicting long-forgotten wars, statuary in the likeness of long-dead rulers. He comes to stand before the jewel of this collection, a mural of worked stone, with dozens of dragons soaring above a burning world. The Silent One appears at his shoulder, and true to her name, she approaches without a sound. Iskandar looks to her and speaks. Humans toppled the elven empires of old and ruled for thousands of years. They mastered death, created wondrous machines, achieved a kind of immortality. And yet here all around us is the legacy of their reign. Nothing but blasted ash and charred ruin. They were given everything and squandered it, and Erenoth suffered. And now we reel from the conquest of yet another human tyrant. Iskandar stands now before a huge glass cylinder filled with a strange blue fluid. Inside float the remains of a humanoid creature, once a man, now a deformed beast, preserved. Its hands end in talons, and between the plates of its armor, feathers sprout. And now look at him. Only a legacy of death to his name. The corruptor indeed. The Silent One's eyes meet her praetor's, and though her mouth was fused shut long ago, she speaks words into his mind, words that he has waited long to hear. The machine is ready. She leads him through corridors, down spiraling stairs, past panoramic views of New Imperia sprawling like a golden labyrinth, until they enter the workshops beneath the city, dim and cool and quiet. The Silent One brings him to a vaulted table, upon which lies a massive creature, 8 feet tall. Its skin is metal, blue, silver, and rippled. A pair of horns crest its head. From its veins emits a flickering red-violet glow. A hum, like a steady breath, rasps from within. The Silent One looks to Iskandar. It lives. It breathes. It accepts commands. It kills. It will kill for you, Praetor. And behind it come many more, fueled by the bleak. Iskandar runs a hand, shaking across the Mitsurium surface of the creature. The skin yields to his touch. Then now, he says, is the time. We shall give it the chance to prove its capabilities. We find ourselves in the Ravenstorm Highlands. Several weeks have passed since the Provokers freed the slaves from the Mitsurium mine. Through a forested valley, enforcers of the Clerisy march beside 2 carts laden with barrels. They look in all directions, skittish, keeping their bows and their swords close at hand. They've heard tales of the people roaming the forest, combating the Clerisy. There are few left. In fact, only 1 outpost remains now. The Clerisy's hold on the Ravenstorm Highlands is nearly unclenched. We move away from this group, through the trees, through foliage, and in the dim, dappled light of the Ravenstorm Highlands, we see Holly Rast. She sits her back against a tree, aiming down the scope of her crossbow, watching the Clerisy move through the valley. The ambush is set. The trap is waiting to be sprung. Holly, you've just spotted the Clerisy, and it's now time to alert your comrades. How do you do it? Oh, Barker, hang on. The audio is not capturing again for some reason for you guys. 1 second. Let me just add another thing. Sorry. Add another thing. I don't know why it... I can hear you just fine. But... because I'm looking at the levels, and my mic is fine, but you guys aren't registering for some reason, so... I'm just going to go ahead and... Yeah, that's perfect. I'm going to go ahead and delete this guy here. And then try to add it again. Audio, input capture. Device default. Okay. All right. Oh no, now that's just capturing my voice again. I swear I'm gonna get this. Let's go ahead and mute that. Hide it. Sorry, everyone. Bear with me for a second. Audio. Oh, here we go. Audio output capture. There we go. Yeah, no kidding. Okay, I think this should work. I think. Okay, try saying something, Barker.
Check, check, check. 1, 2. Dikembe Mutombo. All right, cool.
Got it. All right.
Nice.
Okay, please go ahead, Barker.
Okay, so as I was saying, Holly pulls the trigger on her crossbow. The bolt flies through the air, past a couple of trees, knocks some leaves off of one, and it hits a taut rope leading from a branch up top in the canopy to somewhere on the ground. And you see the rope just unwind as the fibers come terribly destroyed. Anyway, and down comes the distraction. Edric, something is if I could, Matt, if you have a plan, interrupt me. But Edric, something is falling behind this Clerisy. It's like pots and pans or something loud, something obnoxious. Maybe it's you. What is falling, and then how do you jump out and lead the charge from the other side of this pack of enemies?
We've been here for a while, and we have been judging the wind and how it shifts through the trees. And we realize that filling it up full of dried leaves into a net, and then suddenly, as the arrow, the bolt snaps the rope, it only snaps one part, and the whole net kind of swings on a pendulum, opening up and causing this huge kind of clump of leaves, dirt and mud and sticks, because when I was told as Edric to gather leaves, I just grabbed it up in big clumps. So as this one Clerisy member is kind of standing there looking stoic and angry and about as hard as someone can, suddenly this like little blob of mud just goes spattering onto his cheek, and he kind of wipes it for a moment and looks up as this mountain of leaves just comes like falling onto him. Trying to fight it off, I make the signal to charge, but I can't remember exactly what the signal is, so I kind of look to Sander to help me. What was the signal again?
It was the classic, the cawing of the bird.
What?
I can't do it. My voice is too high. I end up sounding like a chickadee, like a crow.
Caw. Right, let's go get him. And I'll just get up. Come on, Mr. Sander, Mr. Kristoff, and I'll go charging towards the Clerisy.
And as he does that, I think that's not the plan. That's not the plan. As I loose, essentially a flaming arrow toward the leaves that we're supposed to set on fire, and so Kristoff and this flaming arrow hits this pile and sets it alight. As I see Edric running toward the fire now.
Very cool. Awesome. Yeah, go ahead and situate yourself on this map wherever you think that you would be. So you guys are sort of in this this valley with kind of a rough road winding its way through. The foliage through here is really dense and difficult to traverse. You're able to be up above where these Clerisy members are. You see that there are 3 pretty standard enforcers, as well as another Clerisy member wearing these robes, and he is flanked by a large direwolf at his side. Let me drop something in here really quick since you guys have started a fire. I know I have something for this. At least I thought I did. Oh, yeah, I do. Here we go. Yeah. Fire!
Now your fire comes to life.
Down. All right, let me go ahead and.
Oh yeah, that's some good fire too, boy.
There we go. All right, so and as you can see, there are two carts. There are horses pulling both of these carts, though I haven't bothered to put tokens for them. And both carts are laden with these big metal barrels that likely contain processed mitsurium. So we're not going to go ahead and roll for initiative or anything like that, just because you guys completely have the jump on these guys. So as the fire begins, thanks to Kristoff's flaming arrow, let's go ahead and go in passive initiative order, which has us start with Sander.
Sorry, too many windows open. Got my map, got my character sheet.
All
right,
I know the feeling. I know the feeling so well.
All right, so I'm gonna I will actually move over here, and I am gonna try to jump down here. Now, how far is this drop?
Probably about 10 feet. It's not too bad. You can easily. It's also like kind of a slant, so you're able to slide down and not necessarily just like leap down, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna slide down, and I will slide my way into, if I can, this guy right here. And so I just kind of slide down in one fluid motion. I as I kind of hit the ground, lunge up with my the end of my quarterstaff at this guy's throat.
Beautiful.
And I'm rolling dice. It feels so good. That is not very good. That is a 10 to hit.
Does not hit.
Okay, and I swing around with my unarmored strike here, and that will be a 22 to hit.
Definitely hits.
Okay. 1d4 plus 3. For 5 damage as I kick at this guy's midsection.
There's a gasp of air as your foot connects with his torso, and he staggers back, drawing out a sword and preparing to defend himself further from this this halfling that just appeared out of the darkness of the forest to pummel him with staff and foot. All right, next up is Holly.
A bolt is already loaded into the crossbow. She takes aim at the left. She knows the rules of war. And she chooses to cheat and fire at the leader, the obvious leader, from her perch. And she gets a 13.
That hits.
She starts to celebrate. Oh, because she thinks it's gonna like miss just a little bit. Maybe she aimed too high over the shoulder, but it hits him, and she goes, "Oh yes!" And clutches at her ribs where that spear weeks ago punctured her.
Yeah, and there's a hot searing pain, almost like you're being burned on that wound, and it's in an instant it's gone again.
Awesome. She moves to load another crossbow bolt.
How much damage did you say total?
I didn't. I actually listen. It's been so long since I've played this game that I forgot to roll it. So we're just gonna make this happen. 10.
10 damage. Great. Yeah, you strike, and you see as the bolt goes into this robed figure's shoulder, the direwolf immediately puts itself between you and its master. Okay. Anything else on your turn, Holly? Any movement? All right, that brings us to Kristoff. So Kristoff, your flaming arrow has done its job. There is now a carpet of flame beneath these Clerisy members. What would you like to do on your turn?
So I skid down the hill here, and so I'm like, and I'm going to try to get. Basically, the fire is just starting, so it's at that movie level where it's sort of all around me, but not quite. You know what I mean? So I'm there, and I try to sort of run through it and hop up on the cart. So I don't know if I can make it quite that far.
Yeah, you can make it.
So I'm like, and as I do it, I'm like, what's that house boy? And I just say some nonsensical words as I cast Thunderwave. And it's just sort of like in the heat, I'm like, and it just sort of, and so it's a con save 13 for all of them within 15 feet. So basically everybody.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. The 2 enforcers and then the druid as well as the direwolf will have to make that save. The enforcer fighting Sander is not quite close enough.
Killer.
All right. So 2 of these guys, one of them fails. The other one makes it. So I'll say the one closest to you fails. The one a little bit farther away standing in the flames there makes it.
Okay.
The druid makes it. And the direwolf does not.
Okay. So that is, tasty. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 9 thunder damage to any who failed, and they're pushed 10 feet away from me.
Okay.
And then on a success, it's half as much damage, and they're not pushed.
Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and do all that. So what does that look like? Go ahead and describe the spell's effect as I move these guys around here.
So as I am sort of dancing on the cart because it's starting to get hot as the coals, as the fire and the leaves sort of, I've climbed into basically a wooden cooking pan. And so I think probably the leader who has just had this bolt shoot, he kind of dodges and you just hear, and they all sort of look like, what? And the thunder wave doesn't go off at first. And so there's this pause where they're all looking at me and I'm standing in the smoking cart going, then I go, and then it goes, and I think it's like that sort of, their hair's blown back and like thrown.
Yeah, and I imagine it's almost like it sort of pushes the fire out for a second and creates this like perfect sphere of like no fire, and then it all the air just comes rushing back in as the vacuum sort of dissipates.
Love that. And that's all I'll do on my turn.
Okay, great. Edric, you're up.
All right. I'm going to be now. I'm guessing I'm probably going to have to double move it, pretty much to about here to engage.
Yeah, you're pretty far away.
Yeah. So I'll do that, and then probably as an action, I'll just kind of reach behind me and just kind of like throw and spin up the shield in the air and just cause it to kind of like kick in, and now it's just kind of moving around to have it. But I get my poleaxe out and I kind of aim the point straight at that one Clerisy member, and I'll just stare him down.
Okay, great.
Intimidatingly.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and as all of this is happening, Sander, you're sort of going toe-to-toe with this Clerisy enforcer. He gets the sword out, and he sort of comes back to hit you with the sword, and an arrow sprouts from him. And he goes, ugh, and sort of topples backwards. And if you look behind you, you see Armand Ironburl, this half-elven man that you saved from the mine, and he's standing there with his bow, and he just kind of like gives you a nod and then draws another arrow and takes aim at a second target. Okay, bad guy's turn. They are finally sort of gathering themselves here. This enforcer steps out of the fire, patting himself down, and engages with you, Edric, swinging a short sword. Let's see, short sword. +4, so that is going to be one hit, and 6 piercing damage. So the shield comes up. He sort of ducks up under the shield and comes up with his short sword. Not doing a ton of damage, but you do feel it bite into your mail a little bit. The second enforcer here comes up, starts kind of putting his back to this cliff here, draws back on an arrow and fires at the caster here in the cart, taking a shot at Kristoff. Let's see. He's got a longbow. 2 shots. Miss. Miss. So 2 arrows go whizzing by Kristoff. He's safe. The druid steps back against the wall and begins winding his hands together, speaking these strange words under his breath. Kristoff, you would recognize them as druidic. And as he speaks, this strange sort of calcified, petrified wood beginning on his staff sort of winds its way up his arms and envelops him. And soon you see that his skin is covered in what looks like bark. The dire wolf places itself firmly in front of its master, taking a readied action to attack anyone who attacks the druid. Okay, we're back up at the top of the initiative. Sander, you are up.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and move to flank this enemy that's just engaged with Kristoff. So I just come from behind and kind of send my body hurling toward him with my quarterstaff and a kick once again. I'll just go ahead and roll twice. The first one with the quarterstaff, it's not great again. 11 and 9 to hit.
11 and 9, not going to cut it.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah, so I imagine I kind of run in, and there's just a little too much smoke and ash as the wind changes direction from the fire that it just throws me off. I kind of go skidding into him.
Yeah, there's like kind of smoke. The fire's starting to pick up, and it sort of is bellowing into your eyes a little bit. Holly, you're up.
Thunderwave is no joke, even when you're outside of its range. So there's a moment where Holly's jolted back a little bit, right when she's regaining her composure from the wound, searing hot like fire. She looks up, sees what the enemies are doing with the Clerisy forces are doing, what the enforcers are doing. She sees the enforcer down and to the right. She moves towards the captain again, the druid. She's gonna actually move up here to, like, I don't know, is that enough? Is that good? Is that
absolutely.
She's gonna get there so she can get another clean shot at him, knowing full well that the dire wolf is baring its fangs at her as she does so. So she's going to fire at the druid.
Okay, go for it. His AC is increased due to his bark skin. So you're looking for Perfect. 16 or better.
Okay, great. As a bit of narrative flavor, she whispers some mystical words that weave themselves around the crossbow, and then like a spark or two flies off. Nothing amazing. Like, she expects the bolt to engulf itself into flames, but something's not right. It's not working. And she curses and fires just a regular bolt. Awesome. That is a total of 20, an unnatural 20.
Yeah, that's going to hit. Dirty 20, baby.
Dirty 20. All right. Oh my God. 11.
11 damage. Damn.
Dude, yeah, these dice are doing well for me so far.
He's not dead, but he staggers backwards. He is not looking for you up above, and as the bolt just comes down, it sort of sinks in between his neck and his shoulder, right in between like the clavicle, and it goes almost up to the fletching of the bolt, and he staggers back against the wall. The direwolf looks up and sees you, and you see this like flash of like cunning and fear and rage in its eyes as it looks up and sees you, and it is going to use its ability to leap up and bite at you using its readied action.
Right as it does it, she says, "Oh, great," and she doesn't finish her sentence. Whatever rolls, it's interrupted by the action.
So it's just going to hit your AC of 15. And let's see how much damage here. That's going to be 6 piercing damage. And you need to give me a DC 13 strength saving throw.
Okay, so you said 6 piercing. So that's... all right. And I got it. I got a total of another dirty 20.
Okay, so the direwolf scrabbles quickly up the hill. Its jaws lock onto your arm as you bring up your arm to guard your your important bits from it. You feel the teeth sink in, biting through your gauntlet, and then it tries to bear down on you and drag you down to the floor, but you manage to keep your footing and wrench your arm away from it. Otherwise, it would have knocked you prone, but you remain standing.
Perfect.
Okay,
thanks.
so that was Holly's turn. Kristoff, you're up. So, Kristoff, you just saw the 2 arrows kind of whiz by, just barely missing you, and then you see the direwolf scrabble up the hill, and you see Holly kind of disappear under its massive frame as it comes up the hill.
Yeah, and I think, as I'm standing there and I cast Thunderwave, there's that moment where everything's kind of silent. But then when everyone recovers, I realize that I'm a target. I'm standing in the middle of the clearing, essentially lit by this fire. And so I see, and I just kind of raise my hands like, and the first arrow misses me by like a country mile. And then I just kind of like, really? Like I look at him like, what? And then the second one misses even more. And I'm just like, whatever. And I jump in the air and I go, I'm going to try this. And as I say, I'm going to try this, I turn into the closest thing I can turn into to match the direwolf. And so this is one of my, one of my first transformations actually using an animal. And I'm trying to, rather than the wooden sort of exoskeleton. And so I just transform into a regular wolf, not quite a dire. And so I transform in the air into a wolf, and I sort of run up as much as I can. And I'm going to try to bite the hindquarters of this guy.
Yeah, you can do it.
If I can. And so here we go.
Holly sees you coming, and she actually says to the direwolf, pick on someone your own size.
And I think, I don't know, this is the way that I imagine it. I imagine that Kristoff can talk. I know it's against the rules, but I imagine that Kristoff can talk as the animal. It's like that CG, like Jungle Book style. And I just am like,
picture like the 90s where they put peanut butter in the dog's mouth and it's just going.
And I'm like,
they're like, hey, buddy.
I'm like, nice. and I do. And so that is a, let's see, 12 on the die. The wolf's attack is 12. So 14.
That just hits. Give me some damage.
Killer. All right, so let's see here. 4 plus 2. I'm doing the bite attack, which, okay, not so bad. That's not so bad. 2d4 plus 2. I'll take it. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus. So that's 7 total. Not bad.
Not bad at all. Yeah, the wolf is completely not expecting anything to come up behind it and attack, let alone a smaller wolf. So as you bite into its hindquarters and you kind of, like, I imagine you bite in and then start dragging it away from Holly. And so the direwolf has sort of got its claws in the ground as you're dragging it away.
Love that. And I think that'll be the end of my turn.
Okay.
As I choose some more peanut butter.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
All right, Edric, you're up.
All right. After a couple of hits and kind of a little too excited to get into this fight, I remember now, oh yeah, I probably should have did some of my cool maneuvers that I totally forgot about. However, I am going to perform one maneuver. I am going to use a trip attack, and what I'd like to do is essentially push this little fella right into the fire.
Yeah, absolutely. This little fella, poor guy.
So I was thinking, this little fella, I'm going to push this little fella into the fire and burn him to death. Little fella.
Yeah, we're seeing it. We're definitely seeing a descent of Edric. You know, it's
the descent of Edric. It's just funny because when you say fella or folks, like that's never bad. Like, like, oh. Like Dimitri Martin says, and everybody's like, oh, these folks are here.
Oh, not those
fellas.
So that will be a 24.
No, that doesn't hit.
Didn't think so.
Of course it does.
Why that cheeky fella? All right, and I imagine it's less of a kind of push, but more of just bringing the pole at like the actual axe part down and hitting him into the side of the leg, and letting the momentum carry him backwards over like into the fire itself.
Yeah, he topples backwards into the fire.
Jeez. Well, I may have pushed a little too hard because that's 21 points of damage.
Ha!
So a little less
he's
like
dead before he hits the fire.
So
I accidentally cut him in half. Damn.
I think a little too much chutzpah.
I push him in half.
So I think what I meant to do was just maybe kind of just push him with the point of the poleaxe, and what I actually did was gouge him through the throat with the poleaxe, and I oh boy. So recovering that, no, because I don't really have. After that, I am going to make a movement, seeing as how he's dead. I'm going to just move about as close as I can. I don't know if it's there, if I can actually get up in this guy's grill.
Yeah, you can move up to him with 30 feet of movement. Yep. Cool.
All right.
Iron Burl, on his turn, he leaps down here and secures this back cart on his turn, sort of keeping an eye out for any other enforcers. He's sort of looking behind the cart, making sure that you guys haven't missed anybody. Bad guy's turn. So let's go ahead and deal with this guy in front of you, Edric, first. He's going to... he drops his bow and draws out this short sword. All the Clerisy here have this short sword that's sort of like a cross between a traditional short sword and a machete. It's sort of this big, broad, curved blade with a... with one edge to it, and they use it both for hacking through the vegetation and defending themselves if someone gets up in their grill. He's going to swing, and what's your AC with your shield again? Remind me. Something ridiculous.
Yeah, the AC with my shield is 19.
19. Okay, cool. So he just barely hits you. Ooh, max damage on the die though, with the short sword. So that's going to be 8 damage on that first attack. He's going to swing again. Oh man. Okay, that's a crit. 14 damage on that second one.
So 14 and 8, right?
Yeah, so 22 total. So
good thing I got that DR.
Yeah. So you get up in this guy's grill, you kind of charge forward with your shield, and he sort of like grabs the edge of the shield and almost like pries it back and sort of stabs in with the sword, and you feel it bite into your side, and he twists it and then yanks it out, and you see blood dripping off the edge of the blade.
Twist of the blade.
Twist of the blade. Oh, I didn't even mean to do that. All right, the dire wolf is going to whirl around and attack you, Wolf Staff. That's your fear.
Wolf Staff.
Wolf Staff.
Wolful Stofferson.
Wolful Stofferson. What's your AC as the wolf?
As a wolf, I'm a 13 natural armor boy. I'm a wolfy boy. 13 natural armor boy.
I'm a drewy wolfy boy.
Wolfy, drewy wolfy boy.
So that's going to hit. And it's going to be 7 piercing damage as the wolf spins around, and its jaw, you feel it lock onto the back of your neck and slam your head into the ground. And then I'm going to need... What's going on?
In the chat, it says Chris plus Lupine equals Chris Pine. Just let it happen. And it super got me. So go ahead. You were doing real D&D.
I need a strength saving throw from you, please.
Okay.
DC 13.
All right, so 13. Let's see here. I'm using D&D Beyond because it's so easy to just pull up a monster stat block that is a quarter challenge rating.
So nice.
Oh, okay. So that's cocked between a 2 and an 18 in my dice tray. I'm going to roll it again.
Okay.
That's a clear 14, and I don't get any sort of bonuses on that. So it's a flat 14. All up.
Yeah, so the wolf, you can feel it that it's attempting to sort of drag you to the ground, but you keep your footing and stay standing up, despite the immense weight that it's driving into you.
Killer.
The druid, bleeding from the wound, this bolt that has gone through his neck, he very weakly brings his quarterstaff to himself, speaks a few words in Druidic, and immediately begins reshaping. You hear bones cracking, feathers sprout from him, and he turns into a hawk. The hawk, with a bent wing, immediately starts to take off. You hear Iron Burl on the cart. He grabs an arrow and draws it back, takes a shot. The arrow flies a little bit too far, and he sort of points at the hawk and says, "Bring it down! Don't let it warn the others!" All right, back up the top of the initiative. Sander, you're up.
I'm assuming the hawk is too high for me to hit.
It has just taken off, and it's barely above the ground. One of its wings is kind of bent from that bolt that Holly sent into it. So if you move up to it, you'd probably be able to swipe at it with your staff.
Sweet. Okay. So yeah, I just kind of take this running leap, kind of careening around the fire, gravel skidding as I turn the corner, and just kind of leap out and swing. 4. That is going to be 14 to hit.
That hits. Yeah.
Sweet. And oh, that's not very good. All right, that's 5 damage. Bludgeoning damage.
That is gonna be enough. Go ahead and describe what it looks like as you take this druid shape-shifted as a hawk out.
Yeah, so I imagine I actually take like just a whack at it, just enough to like knock it to the ground, and then I just kind of pin it to the ground with the end of my quarterstaff, kind of looking it in the eye before I just shove harder right through its chest.
As you do that, you hear the bones crunch, and immediately there's a sort of, and instead of the hawk, there's the human man laying before you, taking in these shuddering gasps of air as he dies on the ground.
Sweet.
All right, Holly, you're up.
Holly saw the hawk taking off, pulled out her bleak dagger, and gets ready to jump on this thing and just slay it in midair. And then Sander she sees Sander's weapon just pierce through it from the back. She's confused at first, and then, oh, that one, Sander. And then it falls down dead. She looks to the right. She sees Edric facing off against one of the enforcers, and she's going to make her way over. I'm in the same way with too many screens. I'm going to run over this way, and I'm going to throw this bleak dagger at the enforcer and try to stick it in his back.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
See how this works. 13.
13 is just enough to hit.
Oh, baby. All right, so that's a D4 and D4 damage plus D6 force damage because of the bleak dagger.
Because of the bleak dagger, yeah. Because you're literally throwing a piece of the corruptor's sword at this guy.
Cool. Okay, so I rolled a 6 on the D6 and a 4 on the D4 for 10 total damage.
Whoa!
I don't add my dex mod to that, do I? Since I'm throwing
You do add your dex mod to it.
Then 14.
So go ahead and describe how you take this guy out, throwing the dagger at him.
I'd rather Edric describe how, like, the approach and the preparing himself to fight in single combat against this guy before he's felled by a dagger through the back. So go ahead, Mike. Unless that was enough. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I imagine that Edric was woefully unprepared for this. He thought his size could be a little bit intimidating. but clearly clearly not. This enforcer deftly moved around and hurt him. And as I kind of sink to one knee, and I'm still holding onto my poleaxe, and I'm kind of clutching my arm like kind of tight to my body to kind of like shield that wound. I get ready to kind of like lunge forward with the whole poleaxe, and then it just kind of stops midway as suddenly this blade kind of like pops out of his throat, and he just kind of, and then he just like kind of falls right on me, and it's like,
beautiful.
Holly says, "I'm gonna need that back."
I smile and I pull the kind of push him off and kind of pull the dagger out.
All right, Chris Pine, you're up.
So Chris Pine, he lets it happen. I'm gonna go for a ride. I'm gonna go for a stay put.
I'm gonna go for a stay put.
I'm gonna go for a stay put. Trademark Barker. So I think I see this hawk, and I hear Iron Burl. I hear Curl of the Burl point, and he's like, "Don't let it go!" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right. What do I say? Oh, I know." And I start to run as the wolf. Now, if the other wolf's alive, he might get an attack of opportunity on me.
Yeah.
So if you want to go ahead and just,
I definitely do. I would love nothing more.
I would love nothing more.
Misses.
Cool. All right. So he nips at my heels and I sort of run. And as I do it, I jump in the air. And sort of this, like, it's actually sort of majestic, especially if you could see it. And Kristoff raises the wolf's arms and plants face first into the mud and slides past the fire as the wolf sort of, and then I peanut butter talk and I'm like, let's try this again. Like a Beverly Hills Chihuahua CG. And then, so I get up to a gallop again and I sort of focus for a second and I jump in the air and you see the fur issue for feathers as well, but they're brown with black flecks, and you see a giant owl. That is actually the name of the stat block. I'm not narratively saying it. So the monster's name is a giant owl. So I don't know how large it really is, but this very large owl is now in pursuit of the hawk. And so basically I'm going to use my second wild shape. And what I was going to do is move the full, which is the giant owl's fly speed is 60 feet. And if you'll let me do a double move, I wanted to try to catch the hawk.
So I love everything that you're doing, but Sander killed the hawk like 12 seconds ago.
Oh, he did? I thought that you said that he didn't kill it, that it still was getting away.
No, he brought it down and it turned back into a dude and died.
Oh, I thought that you said, okay, I totally missed the part that he died. I thought that he fell, but then kept flying.
Oh no, he's super dead. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I super missed that. Was probably making a joke. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to narratively roll it in.
The owl is doing the hawk was doing a stay put because he's dead.
The hawk is dead. And so here's what's going to happen. I do all of that. And as I'm like, the hawk falls dead right before my eyes, and now I'm just an owl. And I have burned through my second wild shape, and I'm in the air sort of now like, great. Well, that's just great. With my little CG owl beak.
I love all of that. It's really unfortunate that it was for naught. Edric, you are up. Only the direwolf remains. All of the other enforcers are either laying dead or are so injured that they're out of the fight.
Trying to see if I could do any healing. You know what? Actually, I'll tell you what. I get up, kind of shove the body aside. I kind of stick the pole arm or the poleaxe into the soft earth, and I just grab my crossbow, which I have one. Surprisingly, I know everyone, and I'm just going to point at the wolf, aim, and shoot.
All right.
Somebody is. I'm glad somebody's attacking the wolf. It's like, hey, there's one enemy left. Hold on, guys. Watch this.
And that'll be a 19 to hit.
That definitely is.
All right. It's only for 4 points of piercing damage.
Okay. Noted. The bolt kind of grazes the wolf's thick hide. Okay. Iron Burl draws back on his bow and fires an arrow at the wolf, but misses with a critical miss. So he draws back on the bow, and you hear it go, and it snaps in his hand in 2 pieces. He sort of swears and drops the bow and draws out a short sword. Wolfie comes bounding over to you, Holly, and pounces. Yeah, hits with a natural 19, dealing, 12 damage, and I'll need a strength saving throw again.
You said 12 damage.
Yep, 12 damage, and then I will need a DC 13 strength saving throw.
Saving throw. So what does a natural 1 buy me?
The wolf pounces.
I come falling off the cliff, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. The wolf basically drives you off the cliff, and you come sliding down. You're going to take some bludgeoning damage for that. Go ahead and give me a roll of a d6, and that's how much bludgeoning damage you're going to take.
4.
You take 4 bludgeoning damage.
I'm wrecked.
All right.
Holly hits the ground hard.
Sander, you just saw Holly get toppled off this cliff here by this dire wolf.
All right, so yeah, I am going to try to kind of sneak up behind it if I can, and I don't know if I have enough movement for this, but just going to try to go up around here and send a flurry of blows at this thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, not literally. I gotta be careful how I say that. Not the
mechanical flurry of blows.
Not the mechanical.
The narrative flurry of blows.
Yes, there we go. And
the McFlurry of blows. I'm so sorry. I need to go. I can't be here right now.
It's Reese's.
That is going to be a 25 on my quarterstaff and a 12 on the unarmed.
That 25 definitely hits the 12, not quite.
Okay. So we've got 6 bludgeoning damage as I crack down on this thing's back.
It growls as it feels the blows, and it sort of spins around and digs into the earth, getting low, its haunches raised. All right. Cool. Holly, you are up. You are laying prone at the bottom of this hill. What would you like to do?
Everything is a blur, and it kind of the sound is just, she hears a ringing in her ears. She reaches up to touch her ears, and in doing so, she feels the back of her head and pulls back, and there's blood running down her fingers. She hit her head on something, and she's dazed. She looks for her crossbow, but she can't find it. She reaches down at her hip, and as she expected, her hand axe is there. She pulls it from her belt, stands up, stumbles up rather, and then brings it back. And she see the wolf still standing up there?
Yep, you see that it's turning to face something else. You're not sure who it is up there, but you can see that the wolf has turned its attention away from you.
Well, she's going to throw another sharp object at an enemy's back as hard as she possibly can. The hand axe flies through the air for a total of 15 to hit.
15 hits.
8 damage.
8 damage.
I'm hoping it dies so I can have Nate describe what it looks like.
It does not die yet.
Good.
The hand axe sinks into its back, and Sander, as you're facing this wolf down, it rears back and howls in pain as this hand axe bites into its flesh.
And then Holly will actually kind of fall back down and just stumble. She's pretty spent.
Kristoff, you're up. Hang on. Owlstoff, you're up.
Owlstoff, I'm literally up. I'm in the air. Mm-hmm. And as I look around as this hawk falls dead, which ironically, I figured out what happened. I was so busy trying to figure out what quarter challenge rating animal could fly. Oh. And I was searching D&D Beyond, and I was like, ooh, this is perfect. An owl, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
You come back, and we're on a different map fighting like a two-headed ogre. You're like,
I'm like,
wait,
what?
What happened?
Mike is impaled on Bronze Eye's like death machine.
Barker is playing a different character. What? How long was I out?
How did Dice's brother Rice? So
for some reason, Nate's beard is like long and gray.
Freeze the grains. All right. So what I do is I notice this. I notice Holly fall down and throw this hand axe, and I just think, oh boy, I biffed it good. So I swoop down, and I'm going to try to rake my talons across the back of this direwolf as this owl. Okay, so 13 on the die with the attack. So that's a 16.
16 is enough.
Okay, and the hit is just a D6 plus 1 slashing, and that's a 3-4.
Go ahead and describe how you take the direwolf out.
I think that I fly and descend upon it. And I've never been an owl before. So I think it's not graceful at all. It's more like just like raking and sort of. I've never imagined an owl as not being graceful and beautiful. But you can see a lot of Kristoff in this owl stuff, as my wings are sort of flapping and I'm barely afloat. And the thing just, it maybe dies of embarrassment.
Yeah, it topples down as you're raking into it with your claws, and between the arrows sticking out of it and the hand axe, this massive creature, a wolf the size of a horse, topples over on its side, and you feel the reverberating thud of all of this weight dropping to the ground. Leaves fall from the trees as it does so, and aside from the crackling of the fire that is slowly dying out as it eats up all of the dry fuel, the valley is once again silent as the wind sort of blows through. We are out of combat. Ironburl immediately steps off of the cart and begins searching the bodies of the Clerisy, pulling their uniforms off as he does so.
And Sander would go, what are you doing? Are we going to use these?
I think as many of these uniforms as we can get, the better. I'm not sure what Airdon has planned, but I think these might come in useful.
And I would go over to the body of the druid and just see if I see anything valuable.
So the druid is wearing robes, not actually wearing any armor. The robes are styled in the same sort of like the colors and the same style as the Clerisy uniforms. Its staff is interesting looking. You don't imagine that it's actually magical, but the staff is definitely some sort of druidic focus. It's etched with these runes, decorated with feathers and things like that. You do find on the druid's finger a ring, a signet ring, that bears some sort of emblem or crest on it.
And I would probably take the ring off and just kind of slip it into one of my pouches and then maybe I would take the staff and I just kind of toss it to Kristoff and say, he seems to be doing things like you can do. What do you make of this staff?
And I would catch it and sort of like spitting out a feather somehow. We got to get my mouth. I don't know. I'm kind of new at this part. And so I catch the staff. And Matt, would I immediately notice any sort of druidic energies or anything special about this staff from touching it?
You don't get the sense that the staff itself is magical, but you know that this is some sort of conduit for magical energy. Definitely a druidic focus.
Okay. So I think I would just say that to Sander. I would say, yeah, this seems to be the thing that he focused his magic through. So it's not necessarily powerless, but it's not powerful either. I don't know. Maybe try it on, and I sort of like throw it back to him, and I don't know if it would be of better make or sturdiness than his current staff.
Yeah, it would definitely be made from the trees here in the Ravenstorm Highlands. So the weight of it is a little bit different, but beyond that, it's a fairly mundane looking staff.
Yeah, and Sander would probably catch it and look at it and say, no, I'm all set. Thank you. And I would actually probably go start to go put it in the fire, but then kind of reconsider and say, and I hand it to what's Arlbro? What's his name? Marlboro Man.
Oh. His name is Joe Camel. His name is Armand Ironburl. I'll put it in the chat here.
He's married to a Virginia Slim.
Yes.
Little gift for Virginia here. Take it. So yeah, I hand him the staff as he's kind of gathering up the weapons and just say, shrug and hand it to him.
He takes it, feeling the weight, nods to you. The ring that you found, by the way, the emblem on it it looks like a raven's skull. Like it looks like a bird's skull sort of set on the ring.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Holly pukes. She's going to throw up.
Ironburl kind of looks over at Edric and Holly. You two all right?
Even better. And I'm just kind of still clutching my side as that short sword kind of opened up. I'm going to immediately search the nearest body for any sort of health potion or anything. Money, don't care. Like valuables, I don't, that's not going to help me live. So I just want to find some sort of like either bandages or gauze or not ripped up shirts because, medieval hygiene, right? Just something like I can use to patch myself up or even heal. That'd be swell.
So you don't find anything magically healing, but you do find on one of the enforcers has a satchel, and if you open it up, you find a few different things. You find some bandages, some herbs, things like that, as well as a flask of something alcoholic.
Now comes the big thing. Do I drink it or do I put it on my wound? That's a tough call. It's just like, well, I could.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
And I think that might actually what I'd probably end up doing. Pour a little bit on the wound, and I don't really have any medicine abilities, but I imagine. Well, I've got a little bit. Probably from watching my dad kind of help cows that kind of get, stuck or hurt or something. Just kind of pour the alcohol on and there's little kind of shaking it. There's a little bit left. So, a little shot and kind of put the herbs on, put the bandage on, try and kind of staunch the pain.
Yeah, you at least get the wound to where it's not bleeding anymore. You'll definitely need time in order to heal fully, but you're at least not bleeding out,
Yeah, and just so it is known. So shall it be said. Edric does not feel bad that he didn't share any of that alcohol, that medical grade alcohol. Doesn't feel bad at all.
Medical grade alcohol. And so as you sort of do that, Kristoff is sort of observing you, and you take a swig, and he can see you considering pouring it on your wounds. And before he can get the words out of his mouth, like, no, you're like, like Three Amigos style, where you're just pouring way too much. It's like, click, 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 on the wounds. And some of it's missing and just sort of running down. I'm like, Ed, magic is free. It comes into my body after I rest. I cannot make alcohol. And I sort of press the wound, and these sort of vines come from my fingertips just for half a moment there. And I'm going to use Cure Wounds as a 2nd level spell. And so what that means is you get, it's basically 2d8 plus 2. So for me, it's a d8 plus my spellcasting ability modifier. In this case, that would be the 2. But since I'm casting it as a 2nd level spell, so you can go ahead and roll that, Mike.
Nice. All right, so 2d8
plus 2.
Okay. Of course.
Duly ones.
All right.
Duly ones, right?
So that works. You know what? I'll take it. I'll take all the healing I can get.
You rolled 0s, didn't you?
Oh. No, I rolled double 3s. So
hey, that'll work. And Kristoff sort of looks at Sander, and he gives him the thumbs up, like basically like, you good?
And yeah, Sander definitely kind of nods back.
He goes, nice shooting, Hawkeye. And then he turns to Holly, and it's just like, oh, wow, that wolf really worked you over. I barely escaped it. Like trying to frame the situation differently, as though I didn't just leave you to die stupidly.
Oh, she super buys it. She says, thanks for trying. She gets up, looks around, shakes it off, touches the back of her head. Her hair is a clotted mess of blood. She's got a splitting headache, and she looks around. She sees the enforcer's body over there that's been looted. She goes over and she pulls her bleak dagger out of him, and then resheathes it and looks up at the wolf. Maybe there's like a leg just kind of like reaching off the edge of the cliff, and she breathes a sigh and begins climbing the cliff to reclaim her hand axe as well.
And I feel like as you're doing all that, and this clotted, matted, Holly's hair is very dark anyway, so it almost just looks like mud. Mm-hmm. But Kristoff's seen enough busted heads to know what's up. And so I sort of make a normal Kristoff sort of comment, and just like, hey, your hair looks a little better than usual. And then I sort of like zhuzh it, because that's one of my favorite words ever. So I zhuzh your hair just a little bit. And as I zhuzh it, it's like sort of this energy, and it probably feels warm and tingles just for a moment. I'm going to use my last 2nd level spell slot to cast Cure Wounds on Holly's zhuzhed hair. And so that is also 2d8 plus 2 zhuzh. How many times can I say zhuzh? I'm just going to zhuzh up about it.
You go ahead and roll the 2d8.
Okay.
And I'll make the sound effects.
Okay. Make them real zhuzhy. The first one's a 4. The second one's a 7.
All right. I'll take 11.
Oh. Yeah. Well, plus 2. So it's 13 total. 13. Oh man.
She doesn't realize what's happened, but she reaches the top of the cliff and feels much better, grabs her hand axe, and turns and slides back down to the group.
Killer. And I think I would probably say, hey Ed, how's the and he would point to where Edric was stabbed with the spear.
I wasn't stabbed.
God, I have it backwards. You were taken over by Bronze Eyes, and Holly was stabbed. So I direct that actually at Holly. I go, oh, by the way, how's the and I point where Holly was stabbed with the spear.
And to be clear, really quick, a little out of character, but about the game, Mike, I think if I'm remembering correctly, I gave you the spear and probably called you captain or something. I feel like I did.
Sure.
Because it matches your weapon.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah, actually, I guess that would make sense.
Right. Sounds about right.
I haven't really used it, but it's just kind of crossed on my back.
You guys don't remember when Sanders stabbed Edric with his spear? Was I the only one? Come on, guys.
And then the dragon came.
Iron Burl finishes looting the bodies, sort of looks around. All right, we should get these carts back to Aerdon's camp. How are you feeling, Edric? Are you able to drive one of these horses?
I can. I'm just still a little bit hurt, but I'll be all right. And I'll kind of go and, I guess, just kind of introduce myself to the horse. But what I'll do is I'll try and like clean any blood off of me, so it's not too, normally horses get a little spooked with the scent of blood and stuff like that. So I'll just kind of like pat its brindle and let it smell me, and just kind of pet it and just kind of let it warm up to me just a little bit, and then start leading it.
The four of you, along with Iron Burl, head out, leaving this ravine. The carts follow behind you. It's a couple hours march back to Airdon's camp near the Whispering Door, so you have time to speak amongst yourselves. As you're walking, Iron Burl catches up with you, Kristoff. You know, I knew your brother, Nero, before he left. You look a lot like him.
Oh.
I think he'd be proud of what you're capable of.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I always said he was the ugly one, but yeah, I appreciate that. How'd you know him?
We were friends a long time ago. Grew up together. Our families have always been close, if not outright allies. Nero and I went hunting together, tracking. I was sad to hear what happened.
And that stings just for a second, and it sort of comes back. It's one of those things, losing someone is strange. You don't think about it at all, and then you think about it all. And it sort of hits, and then for a moment, though, Kristoff goes, wait a minute. I know you. You're Burley. I couldn't think. Armand Iron Burl, right, but no one ever called you, not my brother anyway. He always called you Curly Burley.
I haven't gone by Burley in a long time.
Oh, man. Okay. That's a lot of... Okay, now I remember you. Yeah, my brother, he actually talked about you pretty fondly. He always took his duties really seriously, but I feel like you and some of the other guys that you'd run with, I don't know, you were the closest thing he had to friends. I mean, not that you weren't friends. I'm just saying that he just didn't have many. He took it all very seriously.
Well, there's a lot of importance placed on family, the family name. And Nero always took that very seriously. It's one of the reasons why he left, I think.
Yeah, you're right. And I think I would feel like, I think I would feel trust, especially since he's a family friend to a degree. Nero had spoken about him, and I think I would share some. Hey, I don't know if you heard. It's pretty well secret, but he was murdered.
Murdered? How
Yeah.
do you know?
I found his body. I went to where he was supposed to go. Yeah, do you know of the Archon?
Atma? Yes, I know the name. The people of your family, they go every generation, commune with him. It's supposed to be the highest honor.
Yes. Well, do you remember? And I would look around, even though I knew everyone was dead. Everything is settled. And as we're walking, I still feel a shiver. Do you remember Balthazar?
Hollowbone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him.
He did it.
Did you
And
repay him in kind?
I did, but it was strange. There was something like I've never seen before. There are a lot of superstitions here in the Highlands, but this was different. He was a ghost. Something worse, and I ended him. We ended him. We destroyed him for good, but well, I'll tell you this. This might make you feel good. Or not. As the son of a bitch was evaporating before me, he said there's nothing beyond. So I think he's gone for good. But anyway, I just wanted you to know. And please, I haven't told my parents don't know yet. So
that's a conversation for another time, and it's not my place to tell them. He kind of claps you on the back. You're good people, Kristoff.
Thanks. You too. And your husband. What was his name again?
Trill. He's recovering.
Good.
He interacted a lot with Bronze Eyes down there. Everyone who worked in the processing plant, they're not quite the same after.
And I think that Kristoff would, his gaze would sort of look at Ed and then at Holly. He would just consider that. And he'd say, oh, something else. There was this huge 3-armed, crazy skeleton thing too. We killed that also. It was really wild.
Man, the South just keeps sounding better and better the more you talk about it. 3-armed skeletons, dragon-blasted deserts, murderous ghosts. I don't know why I haven't made the trip down there sooner.
We'll have to go sometime.
Yeah. The rest of the journey passes uneventfully, and you find yourselves back in Aerdon's camp. Airdon is there waiting for you. You see that he's cleaning blood off of some of his arrows. He nods to all of you and then sees the carts coming up behind you and stands to inspect them. Good work. Everyone come away unscathed?
I would just hearing him say that, I would kind of straighten myself out a bit and try not to make the wound look as bad. I think we have a few bumps and bruises, but I think everything was all right. Folks sure went out okay. We managed to save them. That's the main thing. But we saw this. Well, there was this devil, and I'll kind of look back to the others. I don't know. Well, it was wings and it was nasty, and it had a big spear, and it was angry, and I think that's what the Bronze Eyes was this person. Anyway, they were mean. And they hurt my head, and they made me do things I didn't like, but they ran away, and that's the main thing.
Well, you have time to rest here. Eat, sleep. Heal up. The last piece of this is yet to come. But we can talk about that in the morning. He stands, moves to the fire at the center of the camp, stoking the embers. Tomorrow, we infiltrate the last outpost. The last vestige of the Clerisy here in the Highlands. If we can run them out, that's it.
Maybe you can help us then. Because there's all sorts of weird stuff happening back home, down south. All sorts of things. Bleakstorm and I mean, that's kind of the most important part, really. I mean, but, you know, and I'll kind of look to someone else for some help, because I don't do the talking thing too well. And of course, the pregnant pause realizes that I'm on my own, and my relations with the party have gone down. So,
Airdon listens to your words, Edric. He kind of looks into the embers of the fire. I'd love to help out however I can, but there's something else I have to see to after this. A favor I owe a friend. Once that's done, once they're safe, then I can join you. After this, our paths diverge for a while. But I imagine we'll see each other again.
It's been nice meeting you. I grew up hearing all kinds of stories about you, all the things you've done, and how great of a hero you've been. You've done so much, and I've heard all the stories and the bard songs and well, it even helped me read a little, not very well, but a little. But you know, Mr. Airdon, I learned that, well, I think the stories and the songs and all that, maybe they were a bit much from what actually happened. I like to think part of me is happy that maybe I can be a hero too, but I think now that being a hero is not, well, it's just being in the wrong place at the right time and doing the right thing for the very wrong reasons.
You know,
and then
Edric,
coming,
a hero is not really something you do. It's something that people make you after the fact. None of us set out to be heroes. We were just fighting a war that no one else was around to fight. And as far as I'm concerned, the four of you have already done more than we ever did.
well, I hope so. And I hope that maybe one day, well, we can all sit around, maybe the five of us, or with some of the other provokers, and we can trade stories.
That would be nice. Well, you've met me and Dice. 2 down, 2 to go.
And I'll just kind of nod and being like still kind of hurt, I'm just going to kind of pull up by the fire and unroll my bedroll, give my tent automatically to Kristoff because, you know, that's what I do. And kind of start eating some rations if there's anything in the camp. I don't know if Airdon cooked anything already or.
Yeah, Airdon goes hunting pretty often, and there's usually a good amount of meat cooking over the fire. So there's plenty of food and water to go around. So the four of you are able to eat your fill, drink plenty, and get some rest. And I think at that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. So before we jet off here for our break, I'm going to let everyone do some character introductions, and then we're going to take a quick 5-minute break and be back and continue the session. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. It's been a lot of fun so far. We're going to go ahead and do Holly first. Barker, if you want to introduce your character and tell us a little bit about her.
Sure. My character is Holly Rast. I'm a big fan of method role playing, and I have a splitting headache, so I gave her one today. So I'm really excited to role play that out. She is a trained warrior in Falhast, one of the Black Bloods. She's lived a life surrounded by warriors, and didn't until about halfway through this campaign didn't know her stepdad, the famous Dice from the Provokers. She recently has discovered powers within herself, and they seem to be counterbalanced and diminished by this agonizing pain she occasionally feels where she was stabbed by Bronze Eyes' spear. And so she is at the in this camp. She's not speaking with anyone. She's going to be basically going right to bed.
Edric.
Hi, Mike. I play Edric Meadows, who is not Samwise Gamgee, so let's put that baby to bed. All right, cool. Edric is a big, soft kid. Like, literally, he's big, and he's a kid, 17. And he grew up after the war for Falhast. And from where he was from, in the city, or at least the very large town, small city of Aldemir, the Great Siege of Aldemir, where many of the raiders of Gavalt came up to be able to crash into Aldemir, take the food, be able to resupply the entire army for the great trek south. But the great warriors of Gavalt broke themselves on the walls of Aldemir, as so it is said. Edric grew up listening to stories of the Provokers and their great And usually when it comes to a copper coin or two, the fantastically large tales told by bards coming in and out of Aldemir, as Aldemir has become very, very prosperous during and after the war, having to try and resupply the whole south with all the food that they have grown and obviously have much more than they need to eat, but we're able to help provide with for many other people. And now that Edric has been kind of at a stage now where he understands and kind of realizes that the Provokers are not all that it's cracked up to be, I think he's using this time specifically to kind of reflect and understand what just happened, especially with his conversation with Airdon.
Awesome. All right, Sander.
My name is Nate, and I am playing Sander Denara, who is a halfling monk from Sonageist, a region that is now desert, scorched by dragon fire. And he is a member of the Order of the Unscorched. Their task, their main goal is the preservation of ancient artifacts that are in these ruins in the desert, and kind of safeguarding them to make sure that there are no items of power that can fall into the hands of the wrong people. And yeah, he is a cheerful, spry little guy.
He's also a raging death machine. All right, Kristoff, go ahead.
So Kristoff Stormraven is from a prominent family in the region we're in now, the Ravenstorm Highlands. And they're essentially druidic royalty. And he has never been one of that ilk. He's always been the black sheep of the family. And just recently, his brother was missing and then proven to be murdered. And so Kristoff has taken up the mantle of his brother. And so we have returned home, and his parents don't know yet, or maybe they do, but Kristoff is unaware that his parents know that his brother has been murdered. And so Kristoff is becoming more of what he believes his brother was intended to be, but also still trying to keep a part of himself and do it his own way. And I'm really excited to play this character. Really love it.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Please stick around. We will be right back.
When I make a spaghetti for the Pope, the first ingredient of a spaghetti for the Pope is some whisper hair straight from the Pope's chin. The second ingredient is a felony assault charge from the Pope. And the third ingredient is a fire hose full of wine that I shoot at his back. I think a little plastic car can escape of my wine fire hose. You a bub.
I'm muted. There, now I'm not anymore. Hello, everyone. We're back. Thanks for sticking with us and joining us tonight. We're going to just get right back into it. Holly, you wake in the middle of the night, sleeping on your bedroll near the fire. You roll over, your head aching, and you, oh, goddamn, I made a huge thing about talking about AtCon and then I forgot. Real quick, everybody. Oh
and God. Then you see.
And then you see
screen.
Everyone's there for AtCon. Real quick, I wanted to let everyone who's watching know that if you have ever wanted to hang out with a bunch of losers like us, you should come to AtCon 2019. Seriously, we are all going to be there. All of the Provokers are going to be there. In addition to like 100 other amazing people. This is the 3rd annual AtCon. Every year, it's a blast. We just hang out here in Tacoma, Washington, play a bunch of games, eat a lot of food, and have a lot of fun. So if you're interested in hanging out with us this June, go to atcon.absolutetabletop.com. That's atcon.absolutetabletop.com. And there are a bunch of tickets still available. Come hang out with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, back to the game. Holly, you wake up. You roll over, your head aching from your fall, and you see the fire dying down. The softly glowing embers throw strange, writhing shadows on the trees surrounding this clearing. It takes you a few moments, and it might be that you're half asleep, or it might be that your head hurts a little bit more than you thought, but it takes you a few moments to realize that you are alone. Airdon, Ironburl, Sander, Edric, and Kristoff are nowhere to be found. What do you do?
Holly stands. She reaches over, she walks over to the fire, pulls a large stick from the flames, and it's still embering on the end, so it's kind of like a makeshift torch. And she kind of holds it around her. She knows not to call out and give away her position. If something happened to her companions, her team, she needs to figure out what happened on her own. She's going to walk to the edge of the clearing and see if she sees something.
You walk to the edge of the clearing, and looking out, you see only darkness. Dense foliage made silver in the moons above. And as you peer through, you hear a voice behind you. Sorry, I thought you and I could have a private conversation.
She spins around, frightened, swinging the torch as if it's a weapon in the middle of this person's sentence.
Your torchlight falls upon a humanoid figure seated next to the dying fire. His skin is red. His eyes, a metallic sheen. He waves to you.
Do I recognize him?
It is Bronze Eyes.
It is Bronze Eyes. Okay, Holly reaches for her bleak dagger, pulls it out, and throws it at him.
The dagger disappears before it reaches him.
Then she pulls out a crossbow that's been hooked to her hip, and she fires a bolt at him.
The crossbow bolt erupts into flame before it reaches him.
Her hand axe, third and finally, flies like a swirling, frisbeeing blade o' doom at him.
He catches it and thunks it into the ground. You think this is real?
She looks around her. She doesn't say these things, but she does think it looks real. She smells the embers from the dying fire. She looks at her hand and touches them together. But she hears no lie in his words. If this is a dream, then you are me, is what she says. You're just me.
If that makes this conversation easier, sure, I'm you.
She doesn't say a word. The word conversation rings off Bronzeye's tongue, and she waits to hear what he has to say. Her nails digging into her flesh of her palm.
His tail snakes around, and he stirs the ember of the fire with it. He blows. His eyes glow bronze as the fire picks up again. He gestures for you to sit, though he doesn't wait for you to before he speaks.
She walks over and does not sit.
You're strong, you and your friends. Stronger than I was anticipating.
Then you are stupid. More stupid than I was anticipating.
I will admit, I didn't do my due diligence. Didn't prepare like I should have. You've almost taken back the Highlands from the Clerisy. I have to hand it to you. It's impressive.
I have pretty good friends.
Maybe you're looking for one more. I can be a very good friend. There's a spark in you, Holly. Something burning. A power long dormant, just now waking. I know who raised you, the man you called father for a long time. I pass him from time to time in my travels. Now he has power. Being in the Bleak has only made him stronger. But you could have that power too. The power in you is like these embers softly glowing. All it takes is stirring them a bit, adding fuel for them to rage, burn hot.
If you were to give me power, I would use it to kill you. You would provide the feathers that fletched the arrows that I would fire into your heart.
I thought you might say that. The power I would give you would come at a cost. If you were to harm me in any way, the power inside of you would lash out at those you care about. The ones you call friends. The ones who are just holding you back.
His words make her angry. Really angry. And that anger quickly turns to shame as she realizes she's falling into the trap he seems to be setting up, playing on her anger. They're not holding me back.
This thing that you're trying to stop, it's inevitable. It's like shouting at a storm. You're just wasting your breath.
What do you want?
I want something out of this ordeal. You see, I've made some deals too, deals contingent on ending this thing, on seeing it through to the end. Effectively, I'm an employee here on this plane, but I deign to want more. You and me, Holly, we could stir up some embers. These wars, it's barely been a generation since the last one tore this place apart. Since it took your father's face.
She flashes back to the walls of Falhast. She's loading the crossbows that men and women will die holding. She sees the blood of the fallen enemies, the fallen friends, all running the same red, mingling together in the mud that the living soldiers slog through in an attempt to very simply kill other people. She snaps out of it. You would want to bring peace.
No, I would want this next war to be the last one.
Listen, Aaron Ellington may have been my dad, but my father is very wealthy, and wealthy fathers educate their kids, and educated kids know that there's no such thing as a last war.
When mortals play at war, it doesn't end. But gods can finish things.
Gods.
You've met the god who can finish this. Your father's captor. She lives in the lives. She's in prison there and has been for ages. Longer than I've been alive.
Who is she?
She goes by many names. She's most commonly called the Exile. She helped make this place. Erenoth, I mean. She built it. Her and the rest of those old gods. The ones whose pieces are scattered here and there, coalescing into the things you call archons. She's the last of them. The last whole god. Her imprisonment it's the only thing keeping this place from persisting the way it does, from the cycle repeating itself. But if we could let her out, if we could ally ourselves with her, after all of this is done, after all of these mortals are done playing at war, the Great Scorching happened when the door opened a crack. Imagine if we threw it open.
Again, she hears no lie in his words. She believes that following Bronze Eye's instruction, maybe this could come to pass. But there's one thing that she can't quite justify, and she says it. She says, "You would want me to free my dad's captor."
Yes.
In exchange for what? A demon's promise for a better world?
In exchange for living to see that better world.
You'd have to free my dad too.
I think that I can handle him. The sphere, Holly. If you want to live to see this better world, if you want to usher in the last war, you will take the sphere and you will bring it to me. Not to Iskandar, to me.
Some serious Dark Lord of the Sith stuff going on here, and you know exactly what motivates me. Hold on. All right. Concern crosses her face. She doesn't know if she can betray her friends. Are they her friends? She has respect for them. Sander, focused. Sander is goal-oriented. Sander knows what's best, and Sander moves toward it. Kristoff, she respects his loss. She respects the companionship they built together out of foundations of quips and witty arguments. Edric, she cares for immensely. Edric is something representative of something that she has not really ever seen in her life. Innocence strong. And then she thinks maybe there could be more like Edric. Maybe in this new world there would be more innocence. Is there some sort of like sacred deal that you can make with a being like Bronze Eyes? One example I'm thinking of is like in the worlds of fairy, you know, you can swear on your honor with something from the Fae that you will not break a promise, and you're bound to that, and horrible things will happen to you if you break it. Like, is there something that I kind of want to say, like, promise me you believe we can achieve honestly, if not just a last war, but a last peace, the final peace. Is there any way that she could ask that and receive an answer that she would believe wholeheartedly? Because I think that's the only way she would even consider going on with this plan.
If there is, you likely wouldn't know about it. And if there is, Bronze Eyes likely wouldn't tell you. But everything he says, and the conviction with which he says it, you know he's dead serious.
I'm going to do this thing where I roll a die. What's a hard DC? What do you think? 16, 18? 18's a good one.
18's a pretty hard DC.
18's a good one. I'll do it. The last war, the final peace, and you free Aaron Ellington from the Bleak. Your word.
You have my word. As long as you see your end of the deal through and bring me that sphere.
Where can I find you?
You get the sphere, I'll find you. We'll speak again before the end.
I have no doubt.
He leans forward. Sleep well. You wake again, Holly. Sunlight falls upon your face. It's dawn. And the others are moving around the camp.
She sees she's not alone. Is there anyone in this? If we're in a camp, we're all outside, right? Just like a. Okay. She looks at the bedrolls nearby to see if any of her companions are around her.
Yeah, I imagine they would be. Who would she see first, guys?
Sander is spooning you. I mean,
Nice.
Sander's right next to you.
You're like
Sander's like, can you hold the sphere really quick? I need to go do something.
Yeah.
You got Sander drool on your face? No.
I have to make water.
Sander nearby, just dead asleep. You see chest kind of rising, falling, steady breathing.
And you said asleep?
Yep.
She looks around for Kristoff and Edric. Can she see them? Okay.
Yeah, I think Kristoff would definitely be there. But I would probably also be snoring. And, you know, something that I probably would have done is stolen some sort of Clerisy tent. And so for the first time in a very long time, maybe the first time ever, Edric is sleeping in his own tent.
That's the real twist of this session.
Boom. And my tent on the side says, property of, it says, please return her bronze eyes. Written by his mom. I also stole his bag lunch. It's full of like demon food. I don't know.
It's just a peanut butter and jelly that's like the jelly's leaking through the bread.
I'm like, if you put peanut butter on both sides and then put the jelly on top of the peanut butter,
trick.
it won't happen.
That is the truth.
Who do I got to sell my soul to teach the demons how to make Uncrustables?
Oh my God.
Uncrustable.
Oh my God. I kicked my
So-
laptop charger out of the wall. I was laughing so hard.
So yeah, I think Kristoff will be sleeping in Golden Eye's tent. Playing multiplayer.
Yeah,
No odd job. No odd job.
DK mode.
DK.
All right, so
Slappers. We're playing slappers.
I think the thing I love about this game and this group of players is it's very clear that my character's at a crossroads where I can steal a very important MacGuffin object from the party, and everyone in the party is basically like, yeah, I'm asleep.
Yeah, I'm deep asleep. I'm in a tent.
Try me.
I'm
Yeah,
the
right?
deepest asleep.
I'm like, this sounds really plot heavy. This sounds like the best story so far. Yeah, I'm dead asleep. You could literally steal a sphere right in front of me. Tangentially related.
Tangentially related.
If I had, say, an ancient relic, you could very easily take it if you wanted to.
Fool of a took.
Holly thinks about her dad and how much she misses him and how sad it makes her that she can't tell him that. And she's been given a chance. She sees Sander, is the sphere inside a satchel or something, like a bag?
Yeah, it would be inside his pack. I imagine I'm totally on top of the pack. No, I'm kidding. I imagine it is touching me though. You know, it's pretty close quarters in here, yeah, it's
covered in bells.
Yes, I always cover it in bells before I nod off.
Holly moves over and, as gently as she can, lifts the bag up and takes it. What do you want me to roll for this? Stealth versus perception?
So let's do sleight of hand versus perception.
Of course, sleight of hand.
Because Sander is asleep, the perception will be at disadvantage.
That is a natural 20. You can eat nothing. You can eat nothing. That's a natural 20. I'm selling tickets.
And I got a 10 and a 1, so we'll go with that natural 1.
Oh my god.
Oh, baby. This is what we call fate.
Yeah, no kidding. So, Holly, you expertly remove the bag away from Sander.
So long as no one stops her, sees her, she will make her way into the woods, and when her companions awaken, she will be gone with her gear.
You move through the woods. And as you do so, you leave the camp behind you. And then you hear, "Where are you going?" As Airdon steps out from behind a tree, his bow in his hand.
She looks at Airdon. She's never been a great liar. So she decides to tell the truth. I'm leaving.
Leaving where?
Leaving this. All of this. It's not my fight anymore.
It's everyone's fight, and we're not done here yet.
She turns around and continues walking.
You hear the creak of the bowstring. Holly?
She stops. Yep.
I know where to shoot to stop you and not kill you. Please, don't do this.
When she turns around to look at him, there's a tear wet on her face. How could I not?
How could I not listen to Dice? He's only said one thing to me the last 10 years. One thing. The gate must stay shut.
Stay shut. Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
This will end, right?
I don't know what you're planning. I don't even know what's in that bag. But I've ran away from enough things in my life to know what it looks like. The fight is that way.
She looks that way. She says, almost as if it's a question, "You're leaving me no choice?" You will make me fight this war?
I can't make you do anything.
You're the one holding the bow.
And you're the one holding the bag.
She almost forgot about the bag. She looks down at the bag. Her hand is numb. She puts it over her shoulder.
I know that you and your friends have gone through a lot. Fought. Hurt. For whatever's in that bag. It is not worth it. It is not worth it. Whatever you're fixing to do with that. It doesn't belong to you.
It's going to lead me to him.
Who?
Bronze Eyes.
Bronze Eyes. Bronze Eyes is a fiend. He is a devil. He is not from our world. Do you understand? If you do this, you are damning all of us. Sander, Edric, Kristoff, me, Brasswick, Durgan, Dice.
She stares long and hard into nothing. God, fuck. She takes off the bag. Holds it out towards him.
He comes forward and grabs it like it's a loaded gun and steps back.
After, if it's okay, unless you want to make it a roll off, at the last second, she's going to hold on to it and she's going to say, "Wait. I think I have an idea."
I'm listening.
Let me find Bronze Eyes. Knowing his location has been almost the entire battle this whole time. Let's use this. He appeared to me in a dream, and she kind of interrupts herself and says, "You very clearly know more than you're letting on. But if we have a chance to get him out in the open, we can take our shot, right?"
Bronze Eyes has been outsmarting me for years. You don't think he may have thought of that as a possibility? We can take him down, but we have to do it the right way.
She doesn't know what Atma meant when he said, she can't even really remember the words. She pulls the figurine of the owl, the nimbus, out of her pocket and gazes into its opal white stone. And she thinks, when I'm lost or in the dark, this will help me find my way. I don't know if this is the time to use the Nimbus that you planned on, but she feels in the dark right now. And so she holds it up to her eyes and she focuses on it. She doesn't quite know what to do or say or think. So she just murmurs, "Please help me out of the dark."
You don't know if it's this figurine or if it's something else, but images flash before you. You see Kristoff weeping over the corpse of his brother. You see Edric laughing, telling a story, talking about your dad in a way you've never heard before. You see Sander holding the sphere aloft, sealing a rift in the bleak. And you see Dice chopping wood. The smell of mutton on the air. And a red-haired girl riding a river bear on the horizon.
She lets go of the bag. And she kind of tumbles down to her knee.
Airdon is there. He catches you and puts one arm around you, not saying anything, but just pressing his body against yours. He doesn't take the bag. He doesn't snatch it away. He leaves it there, sitting in the ground.
I've done nothing but let down my fathers.
Holly, you... For most of your life, you haven't had fathers.
Don't tell the others.
Never. This stays between us.
I'll bet the great Aaron Dice Ellington never once found himself in a position to turn against that which he believed in. Good, light, truth, right? Whatever. I'm ashamed.
There's no shame in being at a crossroads and choosing the right path. I fled my home. I left it behind. I went chasing after a father I did not understand, an exile, a criminal. And when I came back to my home, I was too late to save it. I've spent the last 20 years trying to make up for that. After seeing my matron dead, dozens of my people dead, and I wasn't there to fight alongside them. So just do better. Just do better. That's all.
She reaches to the bag, picks it up, and says, let's go back.
Yeah. We've got work to do.
Will he always be able to get inside my head? And she puts her other hand over the wound.
Not after we kill the son of a bitch. Let's finish this fight and then deal with him.
A small smile creases across her face, very subtle. And they make their way back to the camp, I imagine, and she's holding the bag.
As you enter back into the camp, the others stirring, Airdon takes the bag from you and drops it without a sound right next to Sander and keeps walking over to the camp and begins stirring the fire for breakfast. The rest of you wake up. You see Holly and Airdon entering the camp and getting breakfast ready.
Yeah, and Sander would feel yeah, I'm gonna roll to see if I would notice my bag in maybe a slightly different position or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of notice that looks, yeah, it's just, I don't remember putting it quite like that. And I kind of straighten it. I like to keep it parallel to my bedroll.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like at an angle a little bit. Whatever. I don't really think anything of it. Yeah, I wake up, put the pack on my back and kind of fold up my bedroll and head out to the fire.
Airdon kind of gives you an odd look, Sander, as you come over, but then he busies himself with the fire once again.
You see Holly sitting there looking at the fire, but she's actually looking into her palm, trying to focus on something.
And Sander walks up to the fire and just kind of starts warming his hands a little bit and says, good morning. How did you all sleep? And he kind of stretches. You hear a crack in his back.
Well, I feel better. It was nice I got to sleep in my own tent. And it sure was nice of you, Mr. Kristoff, to let me use my tent again.
And from inside the tent, from inside my tent, this Clerisy tent, you just hear, Mr. Please.
See? He's so nice. Well, I'm quite a bit famished. Everybody sleep all right?
Airdon kind of looks at you and says, don't sleep.
Oh, right, Mr. Airdon. I forgot you have the magic.
You don't have to be an elf to not be able to sleep.
Huh. I suppose that's true.
Very true. Airdon kind of hands out some meat, probably some venison, to everyone. Right. There's one outpost left. One last Clerisy outpost. It's well defended, but I think we can end this thing today. We have 2 carts full of Mitsurium, a pile of Clerisy uniforms, and a delivery that's a couple days late. If we can get past the walls, I think we can end this thing pretty quickly. He kind of leans back and looks to all of you.
I'll look to the others and say, well, I mean, do we know how many of them are in there?
Likely a dozen. Most of the Clerisy in this region have fled or been dealt with. He looks over to the pile of uniforms. This is it. Their last foothold.
Well, how many of us are there?
Well, there's us 5. There's Armand. So that makes 6. We could likely drum up others, but the longer we wait, less chance we have.
Well, I mean, Mr. Airdon, you fight for like 5 people, so really it's more like 4 more than what you said. But with you and with Mr. Airdon on the bows, maybe you could provide us with some help as we go in. Maybe Miss Holly, you can stay and shoot arrows at them folk. Oh, maybe we can try and if they're in some sort of a fort or something, maybe we can try and draw them out, and then you can shoot all your bows at them, and then we can do all the rest.
Sound tactics. Get them out from behind the walls. Out in the open. Easy pickings then.
But I don't know if there's a way we can get them out from behind the walls. I mean, walls are there for a reason. And not many people want to go out from behind them.
I'm open to suggestions.
Well, I have an idea.
Let's hear it.
And so Kristoff would dig in his pack. And after removing a couple of other objects, there's a compartment that's lower and obscured within the bag. And he would pull out his own folded Clerisy uniform. And he would say, you know, I didn't leave here on the best of terms or necessarily with permission. But some of the folks around here might still know who I am. And there's particularly someone who would be very interested. And so kind of, Matt, what I'm imagining is maybe when Kristoff left, he did so, he disappeared, and it was not with the permission of the Clerisy, say. Mm-hmm. So while they wouldn't come and look for him, it certainly would be news if he was around. And so I don't know, maybe there's like a commanding officer who would be interested, not necessarily in that particular hold, but who might be interested in knowing that Kristoff was back in town. Maybe I owe him something, a favor, a deed or something. And so anyway, that's my angle that I'm pitching to the group, is that what if I show up, I have the delivery, and I'm dressed in Clerisy, and I just try to draw him out. Tell him I'm here to see him. I'm here to make amends. Look what I've recovered. help me inspect it, help me get it inside. And that's when we spring it.
I think that makes sense. What would the name of this commanding officer of yours be?
I don't know. I'm thinking. I'm trying to think of like a Clerisy member who maybe would be not from around here. So like, I don't know, like what's kind of I'm thinking he's almost exiled from somewhere else.
Okay.
So what would be like a region that would maybe be the equivalent of a Russian gangster in America? You know, what's kind of like that far off place?
It could be somebody from Keld, the like jungle region in the far south.
Perfect. So I love that. So what about like something like Phil, Thil, like Phil Risset, Risset.
Rissit. Cool.
So
yeah.
Phil Risset.
I love it. And I think that Phil Risset is a tiefling, because tieflings are really common in Keld, because that's where the Fiend Gate is located.
I love that. That's cool. Perfect.
Awesome. So when you know that Phil is stationed up here, and you've been kind of keeping an eye out for this person, sort of waiting to run into them, and you just haven't yet.
Right. And I'm sort of nervously, I think I'm anticipating that word will get around soon enough. The longer I stay, the easier some lunkhead's going to escape and let him know for sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So do you kind of fill everybody else in on... do you fill everyone else in on Phil?
I fill you all in.
Yeah.
So I do explain this plan, and it is not, it's in the interest of pitching it as an idea and asking everybody what they think of it.
Is Phil a man or a woman?
Maybe no one knows.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe it's kind of like very sort of androgynous.
Yeah. I like it. So, Christoph fills all of you in on Phil.
And so I would just ask, I'd be like, what do you think? What do you think? I mean, you think that play would work? And I'd probably kind of look for Aerdon's approval, but I would be addressing Holly because I feel like she would have the most experience with these sorts of like CI undercover sort of operations. It's like a sting, essentially.
Yeah, that sounds like it works. Yeah, I'm on board.
Okay. What about you? And I think you'd be afraid to say Aerdon's name. I don't know. Like if you get nervous around police, like he's just kind of like the less attention, the better. So he kind of looks to Airdon. Do you think it could work?
I think any advantage we have, we should utilize. If you think you can draw this person out, it would give us a huge advantage if we could take out the commanding officer right away.
Any advantage, Holly says, with just barely a glance up at Airdon and then back down.
He would nod to you. Right then.
Okay. I mean, Sandy, Ed, any objections? I mean, this is your life on the line too.
Sounds like as good an idea as any.
I'm for it.
So then the four of you should all wear the uniforms, pose as the caravan crew. Me, I'm known to these people, and it's kind of hard to hide this, he says, pointing to the lightning-shaped scar that's marring his face. Armand and I will hang back, provide bow support. I'll aim for this Thil as soon as they show themselves.
I'll do my best to draw it out.
All right. Well then. Let's go kick the Clerisy out of the Highlands. He stands up, grabbing his bow.
And I would definitely follow his lead, sort of letting him take command. I feel safer that way, I think.
Airdon leads everyone to this area. It's a few hours away. You would have time to talk amongst yourselves or do any sort of preparing that you wanted to do. You wait until you get a little bit closer to change into the Clerisy uniforms. Once you get to that point, Aerdon and Armand kind of get themselves ready, checking their arrows. There's not a lot of cover past this point. They've cleared all of the forest. But we can still provide support from here. Once the battle starts, we'll close in.
Excellent.
So, Christoph, is there anything that you want to fill your compatriots in on how they should be acting as they put on these Clerisy uniforms?
Sure. And I would probably go around. Just be like, Rast, not so regimented. You know, we're crooks. We're not soldiers. So, I don't know, look less prepared if that's possible for you. And
I can act like a crook. She takes the uniform from you. And she's just distracted perpetually, but she seems ready.
Yeah, that seems laced with a meaning I should get and don't. So, Sandy, just not so quick. We're all lazy, you know, by and large. So just not so quick. Just kind of relax.
I'll try my best, he says as he kind of flicks a dagger really quickly back into his belt. And you see him kind of go into a meditative stance a moment. Slow his breathing. I think I can do this.
Yeah, already. Look at there. Okay, great. That's and Ed. Ed. And he sort of claps his shoulders. He's like, and I think, you know, the camera does a cut back and the uniform just doesn't fit.
It's like when you try on a shirt from 10 years ago and the buttons are just...
And it's like, oh, man. I don't know what we're going to do here. Okay. And then, I don't know, maybe we look for like, does Edric have like a cloak or something that could sort of...
Well, does anyone in the Clerisy wear mail?
Not typically. We're not really a well-equipped outfit. So, you know, sometimes, sure. It definitely wouldn't go unnoticed.
I have an idea. And would it be like, would this Clerisy uniform be kind of like a shirt?
I'll leave that up to Matt. I would imagine. I think it's sort of like shirt, pants, emblems. Like, yeah. I imagine them as almost being like loose fatigue, sort of, you know.
Yeah, the uniform itself is, there are several different pieces of it, but you know, just from being around the Clerisy the last couple weeks that like people can get kind of loose with the uniform, and they'll sometimes just wear one piece or the other, or they'll wear it unbuttoned or over other things, under other things, sort of pretty loosey-goosey.
Well, we have an idea, and I'll grab the shirt. I'm going to place it on the ground, grab a dagger, one of my daggers, and I'm going to cut slits on the sides of the shirt going all the way up basically to the sleeve, and even cut the sleeve open. I'm going to take the whole thing, I'm going to put it over like basically like two flaps like a tabard, and then I'm just gonna like put my belt around it. And I mean,
my god,
it's not the best, but it'll work, right? I'm sure.
And so meta, I think that is the best thing ever, because it's like I'm just imagining a shirt from the 80s that's like all scored like that. But in game, I think that Christoph would actually be impressed. Huh. It's actually a really great idea. Yeah. Good job, Ed.
Thank you, Mr. Christoph.
Sorry. Matt got me. Matt got me in. Okay. So you were gonna do a thing.
I don't even know anymore.
Okay, so
you know what? This is great. We'll carry on.
And I say, here's the thing. You can't be so nice. So if you can't dial that down, just don't say anything and try not to smile. I don't know the last time I saw anyone in the Clerisy smile for any reason other than a gambling debt or some sort of murder. So try to just corners down.
Look, Mr. Christoph, if we're being honest with each other, I've tried not to be the person who talks throughout this whole fucking campaign since it started. But everyone seems to want to put old little Edric right in front and center. Oh, here, let's let him be the diplomat. Yeah, that'd be great with his -1 intelligence, but don't mind me. So, yes, I would love to just not say a word. I'm just not going to say anything. I'm going to stand there and I'm going to scowl. Oh, and hang on. And I'm going to reach down. I'm going to grab a thing of dirt. And I'm just going to throw dirt like straight in my face. And then just kind of half wipe it off. So it just kind of like, it's all streaky and like there's even bits of grass. And I'm like, and then I'll just wear a permanent scowl. Right. Let's get to this.
Yes. Now that is more like it. That got a little bit in my mouth too, but
I'm sorry.
I'm feeling it. No, I'm feeling it.
Oh, okay. Good.
It's fine, but don't be sorry. See, no, right there. Don't do that.
Right. I'm not, I'm not sorry. And later on tonight, I'm going to piss on your tent.
No.
That's too much.
No. We'll talk. Just
okay.
Piss on your tent. That's what the Clerisy does. Oh, they piss right on their own tents. It's a thing.
Seems a bit counterproductive, to be honest. But...
I mean, who's Clerisy?
Yeah, it's true. No,
who's the Clerisy? Right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
No. Okay.
So, all right, and then me, I just got to act like, it was just, I got it going on. So we're good. All right, I think that's it.
Airdon has kind of been watching this whole exchange, and after the conversation dies down, he just goes, "We good?"
And Christoph doesn't say anything. He just gives him the old.
Aerdon grabs an arrow out of his quiver and like disappears into the brush with Armand. So we're on the second map here. So if you guys still have the map open, we're in the second tile here. I've dropped all your minis in there. Let me switch over. Here we go. So you break through the tree line and you see that the area surrounding this small fort is brown and dead. All the trees have been removed, and the normal sort of like moist green forest of the Highlands has just been completely cleared out. You see smoke rising from this fort. It is a blight, like a bruise in the middle of this beautiful forested region. You see figures manning the walls of this fort, this little palisade, and the fort itself is set on the other side of this river with a bridge going across it. You see that in addition to the enforcers on the walls, there is a single enforcer standing at the edge of the bridge, just sort of keeping a watch. And as he sees the carts and you approach, He reaches over and rings a bell. Ding, 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 ding. And you see all the figures on the wall sort of congregate and stand at attention. He holds out a hand as you approach. All right, hold up there, hold up there. State your name and your purpose.
Kristoff, Stormraven. I've got a delivery for Risset.
Stormraven.
Did I stutter?
No, you didn't stutter. Just, I ain't heard that name in quite some time.
Hasn't been that long. I mean, what day is it anyway? Right?
I suppose. Phil's inside. I can manage checking through the shipment here.
Sure, but I don't think you want to upset it, do you? You know.
What?
Well, of course you know the secret, right? I mean, of course you do. Never mind. Yeah, go ahead. Go get it. That's him, her.
No, Why don't you tell me? I mean, we all know it, but why don't you remind me of why it would upset them if I didn't go get them for this shipment?
Sure. Well, I mean, you heard about the incident. Well, of course you did. Of course you did.
You went at the mine.
Well, before that.
At the
Phil's incident.
Phil's incident.
The mistake.
They had an incident.
Yeah, it's bad. And we don't want it to happen again. I mean, she was. And, you know, if you were the one to break it to her, him.
All right. Well, I'll have to check. And, Tim, why don't you give me a deception roll, please?
Sure. Okay, it's 15 on the die, and that means, let's see here. So it's 17 all up.
17 all up. Let me check. Yeah. He reaches over and rings the bell twice more. Ding, ding! They'll be right out. And he just kind of stands there awkwardly. After a few moments, a tall, lean tiefling strides out from the fort. They are wearing the uniform of the Clerisy, but it is much nicer, much better maintained. It has silver and gold adornments on them, and they have, rather than the sort of stunted machete that most of the Clerisy enforcers carry, this tiefling carries a slim, beautifully curved scimitar on their left hip. This is still Risset. They come out standing beside the enforcer, and they're about to sort of lay into this enforcer about calling them out. But then they see you, Kristoff. I'll be damned. Kristoff Stormraven. I heard you were dead.
Well, I'm not. And I heard you were looking for me, which was crazy. I didn't even know you were. And so as soon as I heard, I was like, well, listen, let me bring this here. And I would extend my left hand because there are two things that I know about Phil. The first thing is it pretends to be ambidextrous. So like carries a scimitar and then like some other side weapon, like a second-handed weapon on the hip, and just pretends to be ambidextrous, though they're clearly not. And so they'll, she uses her offhand to prove it, like writing her name and doing different things like that. But so I purposely extend my left hand because I know that left hand is the fake. And so I'm immediately trying to do that. And then the second thing is I know that if I can get Phil talking, he always likes to one-up people with how bad he has it. Or maybe something like that. Like he's always trying to, yeah, but it's worse for me or something, or some sort of one-upsmanship. And I'll kind of let you play with that if you're cool with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you extend your left hand. They kind of look at it for a second and then extend their left hand, gripping your hand. And they say, yeah, I have been looking for you. Because I heard that you left.
Oh, no. No, I didn't. I mean, I just had to go. Listen, I had to go take care of something, but I didn't leave. I mean, I just had to go, my stupid brother had to go take care of that. You know what I mean? Siblings. I mean, I have the worst brother. I mean, I know you have a brother, but I mean, I'm sure mine's worse. You know that. So I had to go take care of it.
Nobody's worse than my brother. Listen, your brother, he was in the south. You're telling me you just left real quick to journey like 500 miles to deal with your brother?
I mean, he wasn't that far south. I mean, it was more like a halfway thing, but yeah, I think so a little bit. Look, I had to take care of something. We know how this goes. Listen, my family's the worst. You know that. You know how bad my family, how my parents are always putting pressure on me. I mean, I'm sure you don't understand, but my parents are just the worst with expectations and Kristoff, do this, do that. So.
Bronze Eyes sent Balthazar to kill your brother.
Yeah. And Balthazar got himself killed, the idiot. And so Bronze Eyes sent me to finish the job to test my loyalty. And here I stand. And trust me when I say my brother is as dead as they come.
Deception roll, please.
Oh, man. Okay. So 2 on the die. And that is a 4 all up. Please roll a fail. Crit fail.
Phil takes a step back. No. Bronze Eyes would have told me if he had taken someone out from under my command. Your story doesn't add up, Chris. They reach for their scimitar, putting their hand on the hilt.
Whoa. Look what I brought. Whoa, hold on. We can go over the story again. I'm sure I missed something. There's probably something that maybe I misspoke, but why would I bring this here? In putting myself in danger. Like, come on.
The shipment is a day late.
What? And then I look at the guard who was talking to me. I'll be like, what day is it?
I just told you. It's Thursday.
So yeah, I mean, listen, I'm sure you heard we ran in a little bit of a trouble, but we took care of it. So I'm sorry that we're a little bit late. We lost track of the days. I mean, it's not easy. We got a lot of eyes on us everywhere. I wanted to be careful. This is too important to lose over moving a little too quickly over land.
Go stand over there.
Sure. No, of course. Absolutely.
All of you go stand over there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
they kind of direct you over to the side.
Holly hawks a loogie on the ground, and it just kind of like maybe some like sticks to her chin or something. She just wipes it off real quick. Just trying to play the act and doing an okay job, I guess.
It's pretty convincing.
Yeah, right?
Phil directs the enforcer, go check the carts. And then they sort of just keep an eye on you, hand on the hilt of their sword. The enforcer goes over to the carts, looks through the barrels, kind of inspects everything. It all seems okay, but one of these carts is scorched real bad on the bottom. Phil looks at you. Troublesome sort of fire.
Yeah. Yeah, one of these idiots left one of the campsite's fires burning without putting it out. And a small fire started, but we controlled it. Cart got a little burned, but we were able to salvage everything on it. And they were, of course, reprimanded. And I would point to one of the wounds that maybe like that Rast had on the back of her head or something that would, like one of the battle wounds, and I would try to sell it that it was, from some sort of punishment or something.
Phil nods. And then, Kristoff, you hear in the distance, which you know is Airdon telling you that he's in position.
Oh, there was something else that was pretty important that I wanted to tell you, Phil. I don't want anybody else to hear. And I kind of gesture, the two fingers like, will you lean in real quick?
They lean in like the barest amount.
You're I just know that, you've always been like, kind of like a brother to me. And I just want to tell you that you're an inspiration. You're also a tottering, unwashed maltworm. You decayed, toad-spotted maggot pie. And I'm going to attempt to stick a dagger in his neck.
Go for it.
That was awesome.
Oh, yeah, that's a 19 on the die. My dagger is and that's oh my god, it's a bleak dagger. It's a +1 bleak dagger.
Yep.
So that's a 26 all up.
26 to hit?
Yes.
Definitely hits.
Okay. And then the bleak dagger's damage is a D4
plus the D6.
Plus the D6. I forgot about that. That's good. All right, here we go. Ooh, nice. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus my. So that's 12 altogether.
12 damage.
12 damage.
Nate, do you remember off the top of your head what Airdon rolled on his longbow?
I think you're muted.
He said +9. I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure it was a +12, but
oh no, Nate's mic is broken.
He didn't. I think. Well, yeah. By the end, he said, didn't he say that he didn't roll anymore? That he just auto hit.
No,
Yeah.
He's saying +6, +5.
All right, we're gonna do +6. +6 sounds about right. Okay.
It does.
Oh.
By the end.
15 attacks.
2 attacks. 15 attacks.
Oh yeah, 15 attack.
He does get 2 though.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Let me roll the other one. Okay.
He does go straight Legolas.
So, I imagine you kind of grab Phil's shoulder and then drive this dagger into their throat. It kind of sticks into the side of their neck, They gasp, blood kind of spurts out, and then instantly 2 arrows just sprout from their back. And Phil just falls against you, Kristoff, dead, limp.
And as I hold him, I look around to everyone else who had their hands on their scimitars. And with like speaking over Phil's shoulder, I say, we have the place surrounded. More of us than you can count. Back away. Get on your knees and drop your weapons. And I let Phil drop dramatically.
Give me a intimidate check at advantage, please.
First roll's an 11. Ooh, next roll's an 18. Let's see. So that's dirty 20.
There's a moment of quiet, of creaking leather armor and taut bowstrings, before the enforcer in front of you drops his short sword and drops to his knees. Everyone on the wall kind of looking, trying to spot where those bow shots came from. And then 2 more arrows sticking into the side of the wall. They drop their bows. You take the Clerisy outpost after only dropping one of them. You step inside the fort. They pile their weapons and surrender themselves to you. And then something strange happens. The sky is clear, cloudless, but in an instant, the air becomes humid. The sky darkens. It smells of ozone, of static electricity. The light dims and takes on a blood red quality. A bleak storm appears in the center of the outpost. Blood red lightning lashes out. And a figure appears in the storm. 8 feet tall, hulking. Horns crest its head. It steps out of the storm and it fades behind them. The creature is a construct of some kind. Its skin seems to ripple, almost as if it's liquid metal. The eyes in its head blaze blood red, like the lightning of a bleak storm. It reaches one hand out, and the liquid metal comprising its body forms into a giant axe. And then it charges. And that is where we will end our session for tonight. Thank you, everyone, for watching. This was so much fun. I love this game so much. I love these players. And I'm really, really happy that I get to run this game every time. I just am so happy. So we're going to go ahead and toss it over to these guys to do their outros, and then we're going to go ahead and call it a night because it's getting late, and we are sleepy boys. So we're going to go ahead and start in opposite order and go with Tim first. Tim, you want to do your outro?
Sure. I'm Tim. I am one of the founding members of Absolute Tabletop and one of the founding members of Tabletop Terrors. And so I'm just so flabbergasted every time we play because it's consistently mind-blowing. Like it's consistently, there's not a session where I go, well, they can't all be good ones. I'm always like, oh my God. In spite of myself, I'm always surprised at how much better it is. And I'm expecting it to be good. And so I love that. And I make spaghetti for the Pope also, if you didn't catch that. But I'm thankful for everyone who hung out in the chat. Really, really great positive chat tonight. And I just want to encourage everybody, if you want to hang out with us, as Matt mentioned, we still have some tickets on sale for AtCon. And this is all the jokes and the D&D that you've heard in this stream. We kind of we'll be doing the same thing. So if you want to come and hang out live, it'd be nice to meet you all. Yeah, imagine if all of that energy was put into actually organizing a con, and just imagine what that would be like. And we would have to imagine it because our significant others do it all. Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
A fair share.
Fair point. Yeah. Nate, is your mic kaputs for the night, or are you back?
I think I might have my webcam mic now.
Yep, you're good. You want to do your outro?
Yeah, sure. Sorry for my technical difficulties the last few minutes there. I was like unplugging things, plugging things in, and yeah, anyway. My name is Nate. You can find me on YouTube at WASD20. And it's a great pleasure resuming Sanders' role tonight along with the team. And I agree with what Tim said. They can't all be good. Yes, they are. How is it?
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Mike, go ahead, man.
I mean, they can't all be winners. No, yeah, they can. They really can. This has been an absolutely just stunning, and it's incredible to get such a great energy from the players, from the DM, and it's just, it kind of makes you want to push yourself more to, dive into role play more and try and words. I'm just no biggie, right? There's just a T1000 Minotaur coming at us. It's fine. This is fine. I'm fine with that.
No, it's the T1 million, Mike.
Oh no, it's the T1 million.
Oh God, we're all gonna die, but that's okay, because you know what? I really wasn't that attached to Edric. No, I was, and I play Edric, and that was fun. That was so much fun. Come see us at AtCon. See, because all of this stammering and hey, wow, why is Mike not as charismatic and silver tongue as you? I'm really not. See, all this stammering, this is actually me. But it's all these guys that make me talk better and stuff. I'm usually on Twitter. Outro.
Just wait until we get a couple beers in Mike and like half a pizza. Then it'll be really good.
Couple beers in me, and I'm grabbing Nate's backside. Let me tell you something. Better be Zima, though.
Yes, it will be Zima. That's all we drink in the Pacific Northwest. I don't know if you know that. But
they have a time machine there, and so
we have legal weed, but the offset is we can only drink Zima. That was actually baked into the weed legalization bill. And then, last but certainly not least, Barker, I have to give you some kudos, my friend, because you had a migraine earlier today, and then you still showed up to play D&D, and then I convinced you to end the world, and then I convinced you not to. So thank you for being just the best damn role player, man.
Thanks. I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to think. I was gonna say, first of all, as someone who has sat at a bar next to Mike Lasham and shared a beer with him, he's a great drinking buddy, and I'm excited for AtCon. I don't know if you guys heard of it. At some point, it's possible that you've never heard of it, but AtCon is an annual convention that we host in Tacoma, Washington, and you could see all of us there if you show up. And I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. I'm serious. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight because I'm going to constantly be wondering, Should I have just run with it? Should I just have left? I don't think Airdon would have shot me. Would Airdon have shot me? I don't think so. He probably would have run back and raised some alarms. So, like, the next session, we'd begin a chase. I'm going to send Matt a private message. Do you think he'll let Holly be the bad guy in the next campaign? I'm just... I'm like, I was getting some pretty sweet Sith vibes. And I'm like, oh, man. If you've played Knights of the Old Republic, you know that it's impossible to resist. You're like, I think I'm going to use the lightning this time. I just can't. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. This was a really amazing session. I don't quite know how to role play Holly after doing that, so I'm going to have to kind of figure out what that will look like, if it looks any different, which it probably will. I feel like that was a turning point for her. I'm excited to explore her wound a little bit more and how Bronze Eyes can so easily get into her head, and maybe she wants that some more. Maybe she wants, I don't know, her magic's not working. Anyway, I'm sorry. This is such a rambly outro. My name is Barker, and I really like the Provokers. I like to provoke. Every session is good. I'm sorry. Never mind. Hold on. The world needs ditch diggers too. This one wasn't one of them though. So
before we end it here, I want to, Hellmage in the chat just said, Airdon straight murdered that Gavalt lady in Provokers Season 1. I don't doubt that he would have shot you.
Dude, that is such a good point. I didn't think about that, and that's my favorite Airdon scene where he's like, yep. I remember that was a moment, Nate, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure you rolled the die to see what you would do.
It's possible. I honestly don't remember.
Don't forget, he was twisted. He was twisted by the remember, he was under
the ring,
under an influence of
the scale.
Yeah, so the dragon scale really. So I'm not saying he's not capable of it now. Dude is bearded. I don't know if you saw that mini. Airdon has a beard now. And
that was Iron Burl.
That was Iron Burl.
Oh.
I actually do. I have an Airdon mini ready to go in case we needed it tonight, and it is straight up the classic, like the art that Nate picked. Before we even started the campaign. Yeah,
that's cool.
That's killer. Okay,
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I think Airdon would have shot you straight in the back.
I think so too, but I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Right in the taint.
He would have shot you in the taint.
Mm-hmm. He's got the aim.
There he is.
Ain't no joke.
There it is.
He's so massive. What a giant.
Big shoes to fill. Big shoes to fill. Big shoes to fill.
Big shoes to fill. All right, thank you everyone for watching. Come to AtCon and hang out with us. We'll catch you next time on the Provokers. Take care, happy gaming all, and as always, may your pizzas be hot and ready.